In the summer of 1973, the small town of Pine Hollow was a quiet place, nestled deep in the woods of Oregon. The community was close-knit, where everyone knew everyone else. Children played freely, riding their bikes down the gravel roads and exploring the dense forest that bordered the town. Among these children were Tommy, Jenny, and Mark, three inseparable friends who spent their days seeking out adventure. One afternoon, while exploring a seldom-visited part of the forest, they stumbled upon an old, dilapidated house. The house was shrouded in mystery, rumored to have been abandoned for decades. The locals called it the Silent House, believing it was cursed, as anyone who entered was said to vanish without a trace. Intrigued by the tales, the trio decided to explore the house. Armed with flashlights and a sense of bravado, they pushed open the creaking front door and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and the wooden floorboards groaned under their weight. As they ventured deeper into the house, they found a peculiar board game laid out on a table in the living room. It was unlike any game they had seen before. The board was intricately carved with strange symbols, and the pieces were made of an unidentifiable material that felt cold to the touch. A note next to the game read, "Play the game to learn its secrets, but beware of the silent ones." Ignoring the ominous warning, they began to play. The game seemed simple at first, with each roll of the dice revealing a new challenge or task. But as they progressed, the challenges became more sinister. Tommy was the first to notice the shadows lurking in the corners of the room, moving closer with each turn. Jenny felt an icy breath on the back of her neck, and Mark's flashlight flickered as if it was running out of power, even though they had just replaced the batteries. Fear started to set in, but they were determined to finish the game, believing that completing it was their only way out. With each roll of the dice, the atmosphere grew colder, and the shadows more menacing. The final task required them to find a hidden key within the house. They split up, searching every nook and cranny. Jenny found the key in a dusty old chest, but as she lifted it out, the shadows closed in around her, whispering in a language she couldn't understand. Panicking, she ran back to the living room, where Tommy and Mark were waiting. As she placed the key on the board, the game emitted a blinding light, and the house began to shake. The children screamed, clutching each other as the floor gave way beneath them. They awoke outside, the house now nothing more than a pile of rubble. Disoriented and terrified, they stumbled back to town, vowing never to speak of what had happened. As they reached the edge of the forest, they saw something that chilled them to the bone. The board game, untouched by the destruction, lay on the ground, the pieces reset and ready for new players. Years passed, and the story of the Silent House faded into legend. But every now and then, someone would venture too close, lured by the promise of adventure, only to disappear, becoming another tale whispered among the children of Pine Hollow. The silent game was never truly over, and the shadows were always waiting for their next victims.